Good morning and welcome to Travels with Monkey Boy. We are on day 3 of our journey to Madagascar. By this point, Danielle was very sick. Persistent cough, headaches, body ache, symptoms 1, 2, and 3 for pneumonic plague, the sister and much deadlier version of bubonic plague. I don't mention this for hyperbolic reasons. I mention it because the plague is more active in Madagascar than any place else on the planet. Fortunately, I only found out about this after the trip, as Danielle is a bit of a hypochondriac, and for sure we would have been at the emergency room as she was writing out her will. Whatever the malady, though, it kept Danielle's spirits and energy low. We had a busy day planned with the city tour and then off to the airport to fly to the Northern Islands. JC, our ever optimistic guide, showed up at the hotel at 8 a.m. and we were packed and ready to go. The day's plan was to go to the Queen's Palace. Remember, Madagascar was ruled by women for 100 years, the Parliament and History Museum, and then and I'm not kidding, City Zoo. Here's how it went. Queen's Palace closed for reconstruction. A very drunk man came up to us, and again, 8 o'clock in the morning, and pulled out a lanyard with his ID on it to prove that he was our guide. Another man came up and pushed him aside and walked us around the perimeter behind the big gates to see the palace, which he assured us was very nice, but was under renovation, which was stopped because of two feuding sides. A big concrete amphitheater was put up next to the 18th century palace, beautifying it as putting an outhouse next to the Taj Mahal would help the Taj. They were doing it for tourism reasons, almost like they have no idea how tourism works. The guide told us that there was now active plans to tear down the recently completed amphitheater, which seemed about right. Stop 2, Parliament Building History Museum, closed for cleaning. Okay, I know this sounds absurd, but JC has organized a tour where 2 of the 3 things are closed and the only thing open was the fucking zoo. We didn't even get close to the Parliament to see if it was nice, but we did go by the square where they had the justice poisonings. See first aid note. There was also a very funny bas relief outdoor mural carved in the 1950s by some art student. It told the history of Madagascar in a series of carvings. There was a prominent panel of zebu, the non-native cow. In fact, it was the only depiction of an animal in the city block-long carvage, which is so Malagasy. In a land of animal wonders, they show none except the non-native animal, and prominent in the picture is one cow humping another cow, with the people turning around and watching it. Really, Madagascar? You needed to add this to your city history? City Zoo. They have a fossa here. A fossa is the apex existing predator in Madagascar, but has been hunted to near extinction. They had one in the zoo. It is perhaps the saddest thing I've ever seen. I take pictures to help chronicle my story. Danielle takes pictures for her Facebook friends. Neither of us took a picture of the fossa. It was old, in a rusty, cramped cage. It smelled. It was pacing back and forth looking for something to kill itself with. Our guide, everything here has this process, paid JC, our tour guide. Then he hires a guard to take us to the thing we paid him to take us to, and then you have to tip everyone. Even the public zoo and the closed exhibits needed guides. Gave us the privilege of walking to the back of the cage where we could get close enough to see it crying. There were throngs of children at the zoo. Every exhibit was sadder than the previous one. There were a peacock and peahen in a cage where the peacock couldn't even raise its tail. There were lemurs we refused to see. Fortunately, it was also a botanical garden, so we could walk around Madagascar's indigenous plants from around the island, which was interesting as there are some weird plants here. We stayed long enough not to seem rude, and after an hour, we told JC that we were tired from all this not seeing national parks and not seeing historical buildings, so we asked for him to drop us off at the airport 4 hours early rather than deal any more with his positivity and tourist incompetence. Remember, this is the domestic airport for the 4th poorest country in the world, the one where there are about 2 flights a day. So we purposely chose to sit on a wooden bench in the heat for 4 hours. It was the highlight of the day. I don't know where to add this, so I put this here. We were sort of unlucky in tours as this was not exhumation season. Yes, one of the city tours during the dry winter season is the digging up of relatives. This is a Malagasy tradition. At 3, 5, and 7 years, they dig up their dead relatives and wrap them in a new shroud. Okay, who am I to say a country's tradition are batshit crazy, but to turn this into a tourist attraction? Oh, Madagascar. Okay, that's what we had for today. Let me share with you first of all, the map. Okay, here we go. As always, I like to give you perspective. This is where Madagascar is, not the movie, just the country. Here is Antananarivo, the unpronounceable capital. Oh, up here is Tomasina, the national port and the 12-hour drive from the capital on one-lane roads. And here is where we're flying up to Nosy Be. We'll have more on Nosy Be in coming days, but suffice it to say, it was quite spectacular. All right, and then how about some pictures? Okay, here is our guide to the area surrounding the places we paid to go visit but were closed. Look carefully and you won't see the security guard that travels with us. We didn't see him either until the end of the tour where he came and asked to be paid. This is the scenic building with the scenic view of the horrific Malagasy Judicial Poisoning Center. This is where they would bring people to have them eat the 2 chicken skins and the poison berries, and if they threw up, they would kill them, and if they died, and whatever. This is also where they had their ritualistic dog killings. Not sure why the zebu cows, look at this beautiful picture, has to be humping in this picture, but you know how artists are. And look at everybody's watching the zebu cows. So weird. Danielle and the guide longingly looking into the Queen's Palace grounds behind the big spiked gates. We had to walk down this path. So paid a pretty price for this tour. These are neighbors to the Queen. Again, very poor country. I always say you don't just put up a sign. You put up a sign when something has become a problem and you want people to stop doing it. I've never seen the "Don't poop here" sign. Madagascar, land of innovation. And in fact, I think Madagascar is second or third country in the world most likely to poop outside. More than 50% of people poop outside. So good to know. Here's Tennessee's William inspiration. Oh, look it up. There's poor, and then there's carrying a basket on your head poor. Madagascar was the latter. Danielle is pretty. This is a framed first cathedral in Madagascar, also closed on Sunday. This is a mausoleum. For a death, the family has to feed the mourners. The richer the family, the more zebu they slaughter to feed them. Then they put the severed cows' heads on top of the graves. Oh, Madagascar. See this 10-foot tall stick in the ground? That is a plant. Look closely at this plant. At the end of the leaf, a new plant begins to grow. Weird, huh? The zoo has 3 giant tortoises that Queen Victoria gave to the country. There were originally 5 tortoises, but 130 years on, only 3 are left. There were giant spiders all around the city. And that's it. That's the story for today. Come back tomorrow to hear a little bit about Nosy Be.